we start off this magical journey. Um, you're known as Printz Board, but
Yeah.
today, as of today, you are also Parker Lane. I'm curious to know the transition of idea of going from Printz Board into Parker Lane.
Well, actually, to get specific on it, because I guess that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually not Parker Lane. That's not a moniker of me. It's a moniker of the project.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's more or less like my concept. It's me as a producer, songwriter, and I'm part of it all. Kind of like the band Air or anything like that, you know? And
Yeah.
I would include all my brothers in it that played on the record, that play with me live, that are around, and it's all just it's like a feeling, it's the family, it's all that. Parker Lane, but people will and have been calling me Parker. Sometimes like, hey Parker. I'm like, not really me, but I'll answer to it. It starts with a P, it's fine.
So I'm curious, where did the Parker Lane kind of name come to be?
Well, it's this I was hiking through the mountains, Machu Picchu in Peru, from Machu Picchu to from Lima to Machu Picchu, and just came across this random street that looked kind of like a lane and had like a little sign etched into the tree that said like Parker. And so I was like, oh, Parker Lane. I love that. That's going to be the name of the project.
I love that. Oh my gosh. And so were you just exploring, just doing the whole travel exploration wise to Machu Picchu, or were you there for another
Yeah.
reason?
No, yeah, just exploring. I mean, actually at that time I was dating a girl who was Peruvian. So I went there and hung out with her family and whatnot, and then we did the thing to Cusco and Machu Picchu.
Love that. Okay. So with that in mind, and you created the Parker Lane, you now have an album out now, Kaleidoscope. I want to know the vibe of it all.
The vibe of the album?
Yeah.
Oh, so you haven't listened to it yet.
I
I got it.
have. I
I
have. I
got
want I so you want to hear my notes in here? I have folk slash reggae in here, and then I got Lumineers, Strumbellas, and then I got questions, okay? I have did my
I
research.
like it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the vibe the vibe of the project as a whole for me is folk, soul, and pop. All elements that I feel like I embody and that I always want to be in my music. Folk is a newer thing for me. Um, Newer saying like 6 years, 6, 7 years. But when I stumbled on it, it was the most just amazing thing. It lit up my soul. It lit up everything about me. And I love the fact that it's a genre where you can just be real, tell your story. You don't, there's nothing that you have to do within folk. It's just like you just be. That's the thing you have to do. You just have to be. Capital B, capital E. And a lot of times you can form it like a piece of clay into what you want it to look like or sound like for people to receive it as well. And it's all okay. I love that. So this album embodies those elements and styles, as well as it's a lot of really heartfelt family stuff and things that are around me. This is like the album for me that transitions me into the rest of my life in a way that's like I can fully be me. I think this is the becoming of Printz Board fully, where I don't feel like I'm performing for the camera, for any friends around, for any record label, for anyone or anything. I'm just authentically and fully and completely me.
That I am, gosh, and it's such a beautiful message. And I like the title being Kaleidoscope because, like you said, you've mastered so many different type of genres, and that has such a huge effect into the total album that it feels like multiple angles of different lights of memories and experiences blended into this collage that is your album. I'm glad that
I
came out
love
of my
that.
mouth like that. Um, I absolutely adore the album. I've been listening to it all day today, so um and I love, gosh, it feels very comforting, and that's something that a lot of people in the folk
Ah,
what was that?
yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that word.
It's so comforting to hear a lot of the songs. There was two songs I'm really curious about because they're in there twice, and that's Excuses.
Hmm.
Cross out Excuses and then Excuses. Yeah, the Spanish version.
Excusas.
Excusas.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious as to why you have two different versions of this song.
Because that song was very special to me. It gave me this like this Leaper's Fork vibration, and I wrote it with my buddy Johnny Gates from Nashville, and just had this like flow to it and this vibration that I thought this is beautiful. I put a little thumb piano on it, and it's just like you just float within it. And then once I actually finished the album, I played it for Debbie Nova, and she fell in love with that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Why don't we do a Spanish version of this song? I was like, and then you can sing on it. And she was like, oh, that's great. So then we sat down, and she helped me write the Spanish version. I mean, she wrote most of it. And well, she translated it,
Yeah.
and and then we sat down and recorded it. And I thought it was a beautiful thing because I do speak Spanish, I need a little practice, but it is my second language. And I feel like that's authentically me too. That's me at the core. Everything about this album is me at the core. So that's why I did two versions.
I was so curious about it when I was listening to it. I'm like, wait a minute, I just heard this song again. And then I heard Debbie Nova popping in, and I'm just like, oh wow, wait a minute, there's something completely different. It does add this softer tone to it that I
Yeah,
feel. Yeah.
yeah, it's great. And I mean, I've known Debbie for years on years on years, and um, we had our time together back in the day, and and I felt like that love, even though we're not together, she's married, she's got a baby, like that was just years and years ago. I feel like that love is still there at the core, and it's nice to be able to put it down in this song.
Yeah. I love that. And gosh, like I said earlier, when listening to this album on its own, I got major press. I wrote down Lumineers in my head, but I was trying to think of the Strumbellas, mostly because I couldn't think of their names. Going through every
Yeah.
indie folk pop bands I can think of, but the Strumbellas was what came to my head when I
Mm.
first heard your songs. I think I literally have your playlist, your album on my Spotify at the moment. What song was it? Oh no, it's gonna bother me because I'm
It's all right.
the it was the song Have We've Met. That was like the first song that kicked into me, and I know it's the first song on here, but that was like the one that was like, oh shit, I actually like this. And pretty much the progression, the whole thing, I'm like, oh, this whole album's nice. I'm really excited for the release of this being out available to the public. I'm curious to know in terms of what song for you kind of stands out when you write it.
I mean, every album ever that I've done, every other interview asks me that, right?
Yeah,
And
it's a
our
basic
songs,
question, but
our songs, like as an artist, I feel like you can't pick one of your favorite children. We give
Yeah.
birth to these. You gave birth to all of there's a reason why out of 70 songs, these are the 12/13 that made it, that had the staying power, because I absolutely love all of them for different reasons. I don't want to point someone towards one song and say like, oh yeah, that's kind of like my favorite vibe. And then they'd be like, well, yeah, cool. That's my favorite too then. Like,
Okay, how about this? Let me rephrase it. Um, what was the most interesting one to go at it at a different angle? In terms of like you've been producing music and writing music for quite some time. Was there a song that kind of stood out in a way that you had to step back from it to then kind of get a bigger picture of it?
hmm.
A better question?
Well, um, I think they all flowed pretty well. I would say that maybe the Brave was one that Anders and I rewrote a couple times. Like, I knew what we wanted to say. We both knew what we wanted to say, but then we said it one way, and then we looked back. We did what you said. We stood back and we looked at it and we were like, that's what we're trying to say, but it's not the best way to say it. Like, let's
Yeah.
revamp. Okay, rewind. And so we rewrote that twice. And then the chorus that we have now, I think, really made it go. And also with that song, the arrangement. Yeah, Brave. Brave is the song you're talking about.
Yeah.
The arrangement with that one was a thing too when I got with Ryan Hadlock. He's like, I don't know, like this chant thing here, or like maybe we should wait on that and put it here. Oh, and then maybe we just drop out all the music and it's just percussion and vocals right here. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's put this little extra, let's not do that. So that was, yeah, that song had the most stand back and look at it and figure it out. And I feel like that song, when I was done with that song, it paved the way for all the other songs. It was like, okay, now we're going. We're making an album. Yeah.
And I love that you picked that one because I was going to lead into the music video, and I'm so glad you chose that song as the song.
Good.
I took the chance to also see the music video as it's also currently playing off to the corner screen right here. I'm I have all my like screens everywhere except for my phone. It's over there somewhere. Um,
Oh, well, good.
in turn, thank you. Because of the effort that you put into the song Brave,
Yeah.
why did you choose that one to be the first music video for the album?
That one was chosen because Brave was chosen to be the first song because of the state of the world. It was during COVID, and I actually put together a video with James Tregaskis, who directed it. We put together a video without live people because we couldn't have live people. We couldn't be
Yeah.
together during COVID. So we put together this video, and then once we got out of COVID and realized, wow, this girl had done the speech about being brave. The energy is in the air. It's like everybody needs to be brave, getting through this thing. And we were like, let's do a video with live people. The album's not out yet. We don't know when we're putting it out, but let's do one with live, real people. And then it was, what is the video with real live people? And I said, it feels like it just needs to be my story of when I was younger. And, internally told myself that I had to be brave. I remember being 10 years old, and I used to cry when I didn't get picked for a team. or that somebody said something about me, some other kid or something. And then when I was 10, I just said, you know what? I'm done with this. It was like, somebody say something to me. Like, say something and then see what happens. I don't know what happened. I just snapped at 10 and said, no, I'm standing up, puffing my chest out, and I got this.
I love that. And it's a beautiful music video. I also really love the choice in terms of keeping it black and white to a more like it's like a sepia tone. A sepia
Yeah.
tone right into the last frame, bringing out that color, the moment of
Uh,
reuniting in a way that feels
See,
together.
that is the thing. Those details, I love those kind of details. That's my film and TV heart side. Like I told James, it was like, we got to do it this way. He wanted to do it in color. He
Yeah.
wanted to do the whole thing in color, and I was like, no, it has to be black and white. I want everyone to focus on the story, not anything with the popping colors. And then at the end, it's like, that's where I am today. I'm a boxer and I feel free and open and full of life and color.
Because it does definitely feel like the past finally catching up to the present and that
Yeah,
moment of realization. Yeah, I got the
you
music
got
video.
it.
Woo. It's a
Yeah,
little
come on,
accomplishment.
T.
So, with this album being the first big thing out of the pandemic, I do kind of want to revert back a little bit behind the pandemic ish to maybe like 2020-ish era, right before the huge stuff pandemic hit. Um
Yeah.
Mostly because this stood out to me more than the previous your previous work. I'm curious to know the dynamic of being on a team of writers for K-pop, especially for
Oh,
this for BTS's um album 7 for the song My Time, because that having 8 people in a room to write a song is kind of intense, and I'm curious in terms of the dynamics of having that many people, as
well,
opposed to like having,
I don't.
you and a couple of people for a kaleidoscope.
Well, um, there wasn't a room full of 8 people,
Okay, good. That was good.
and there almost never is, unless you're
Okay.
doing a TV show or something like that. Um, Basically, Sleep D's and I did the core base of that song.
Okay.
And then it got like one person came in and said, oh, I have this idea. Let me add this. Another person. Then it got sent to Korea. And then, so different people started touching it, which ultimately it becomes a collaborative effort with everybody's name because everyone touched it. But we
Okay.
didn't sit in a room and go like, okay, you seven, be quiet. Here's my idea. Yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't that.
Okay. That was like one I always every time I see any kind of song with like 12 writers in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you compose all of that thought into one song?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, no.
so I'm,
That would be amazing. It would actually probably be quite annoying because I've
I
done
think so.
4 people in a room and it's the problem.
Yeah.
Because they could be
Gosh.
4 good ideas for the same song, but you gotta pick one.
Yeah. So with that being said, when it comes to grouping, because you said you did the base layer of it, how do you feel about the outcome of the song?
Of the BTS song.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's cool. I think that it was just different from the beginning when we started it, and then other people added their stuff in, and it's like, well, maybe I wouldn't have done that, but it's still a great song. And that happens often, and you learn throughout your creative. I mean, I'm sure even with this stuff that you're doing, throughout your creative process. You got to let other people be creative, have their input, put it in, and you don't always know best.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in collaboration. So it's okay if it's for me, if it comes out like an 8.5 instead of a 10 and it's still great, it's cool.
It's still a B plus.
Yeah,
It passed.
yeah,
So with that,
yeah.
my gosh. So going from like, set there to Black Eyed Peas to now your own project. Um, with the crazy dynamic from going from huge amount of people working on something to Black Eyed Peas to this project, do you feel a little bit more relaxed when you do Parker Lane?
I feel more at home. I wouldn't say more relaxed because um starting over from the beginning more or less, with this project. It's like all the relationships that I had established, they were all based around being a producer or being part of Black Eyed Peas, or and it's like they're looking for those things and not really checking for me to be the singer artist in the folk realm, you know.
Yeah,
And then the folk people or anybody from folk that finds out that, oh, you did these other things, a lot of times they'll look and be like, well, he's probably not, he probably doesn't have the stuff. Oh, he's probably not legit. Oh, that's just a side. And
yeah.
I definitely am here and this is real. And I am a folk soul pop artist. Like that's what I am. And it feels good, damn good. But oh, you know
Uh,
what? Actually, part of your question I didn't
yeah.
answer. You said, is it more relaxing? And I was
Yes.
saying,
And you said it
it
was more.
is, but it isn't because you're back at the beginning, which means you have to grind harder,
Oh,
you know?
okay. Yeah. So when it comes to needing to grind a little bit more, do you um feel that you have to go and research more in the folk world, or do
Oh,
you?
no. I mean, grind harder as far as those relationships and getting
Okay.
people to take you seriously and listen. And, it's every day, all day. There's really no break. If
Yeah.
you decide to take a vacation and break, then you're just losing a step. You're losing a step,
Exactly.
two, three steps.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
I gotta be writing, I gotta be promoting, I gotta be playing, I gotta do all of it.
And so with that in mind, um, because you're not using the Printz Board name behind you, does that feel more intimidating to be able to say like, yeah, no, this is Parker Lane, not Printz Board?
I actually love not using the Printz Board name
Really?
because yeah, absolutely. It feels like a layer of protection for my soul or something. Like people will just put fresh eyes on it without knowing what I did, where I came from, or, making a judgment either way, positive or negative. Like I want this project and the music to live on its own merit. So not having my name all the time is great, actually. I
Honestly, I
love
love
it.
that. I love that too because it feels not saying like it's a mask, um, but kind of does feel like you're wearing a costume in a way.
Yeah.
Now, speaking that in terms of literally, when you go on stage and perform as Parker Lane, is there going to be a costume attachment to this identity as Parker Lane?
Nah, it's just me. I'm always me. So, I mean, I
Okay.
asked my crew to wear like just something stylistically that fits within that mold, like dress nice, maybe wear a collared shirt, maybe some patterns, maybe a hat. I mean, you don't have to have a piece of straw like coming out of your mouth or something like that, but um, like let's
Maybe
let's
a
let's
suede
live and be
jacket.
in that world. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that, but I think everyone's authentically themselves, just bearing in mind stylistically where I want to be.
Love that. And honestly, that's like the best way we can end this. I feel. I feel like this that just wraps it all up in a nice, comfortable blanket of
Oh,
American pop.
that
Um,
I was gonna say one thing to that, what you were talking about. Are you familiar with Leaper's Fork?
I am, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I went to Leaper's Fork, and one of the things that I wanted to do when I got there was not only just feel the energy, but I wanted to see what the vibe of the people was, what people were wearing, what they were saying, what they were eating,
Yeah.
drinking, everything. And I just found exactly what I thought it would be. It's just everyone being themselves. It wasn't, oh, I'm country, I gotta wear this hat, or else, or a baseball cap and be anti, I got a trucker hat. But none of that. It was just like people just being real. I saw this family perform, and it was amazing. Like, I mean, I think the dad had on a 3/4 sleeve t-shirt shirt thing. Mom was wearing a dress. Kid had a like jacket and dress. Like they were just wearing whatever they wanted to wear, and it was more about the music. I am a fashion person, so that is a thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I really want everyone to be themselves to the fullest when they step on that stage.
I hope so. So that way, because that way it improves the music. As if they're feeling good about themselves and you're feeling good about yourself while you're performing, it just makes the whole thing blend together.
Exactly.
So, last thing I should mention before I fully wrap this up, where can we find you?
You can find me, like, you want my street address or no, I'm
Oh my gosh.
kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
I was gonna say, I'm
kidding.
like, we really want to do that.
Um, no, on socials, everything for Parker Lane is Parker Lane Music. All of it.com, the TikToks, the Twitters, Facebooks, Instagram, everything's Parker Lane Music. And then same thing for me, Printz Board, PRINTZ BOARD at everything.